Well, hi, and welcome back to the CAFMA Connect. Again, I'm Training Chief Eric Merrill, and with me today, I have the last group of recruits to bring in and introduce to the world. And we have Engine Company 1, so saving the best for last, right, Mark?
Right.
Awesome. So we want to introduce the last batch of recruits, and then we also want to talk about a couple fun things we're doing as we finish out your academy. And so one of those things we're doing is tonight, big night, it's family night. So, Mark, what do we have planned tonight for the families? Because now this airs on Friday morning, so you can go ahead and spoiler alert all you want right now.
Right. So we're going to start off with a dinner, I believe. So all of us pitched in and brought either a dessert or a side or like something all we can just chow down on. And then after dinner, I think our families are just all going to mingle for a while. And then later we got a car fire prop, which is pretty excited for that. Or they're going to see some fire. They're going to see us all put it out, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so too. And I think a lot of the viewers right now are nervous. That's still a question right now. No, but very good. So we are absolutely going to do that. So the reason we do family night, this is something that we started about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, is ultimately our support system first starts at home. Right. We have to do things to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, to be prepared for this job, and especially for 25 years. That longevity of this career really is based off of our mental health.
Right.
And so with that preparedness also comes having a support system. And at home, if we don't take care of our home, how are we going to take care of ourselves? And then our home away from home being the fire station. So having those people in our lives that are close to us, whether it's very close friends, family, whatever everybody's familial situation looks like, everybody needs to have that full transparency of what we're experiencing at work, and then making sure that we are sound at home just as much as we are at work. So bringing those family members in, we're going to feed them because everybody comes closer together with food. Yeah. And so we've been smoking some pork shoulder since a little after 4 o'clock this morning. And I have a good feeling that it's going to be delicious because I keep walking by the smoker and letting it baste my clothes. So, but yeah, it's going to be a really nice dinner, but bringing everybody together so they can all meet each other, because our families interlinking together, it just makes us one big happy family at CAFMA. So it's not just your family at home and nobody really knows each other. It's let's bring everybody together. So another surprise is that we have a book that we're going to give to each recruit that you're going to give to somebody in your family. And so we'll talk about that more. We've talked about it in the past a little on the podcast, but it's basically a book that you can give to anybody in your family, even though it really comes down to how to love a firefighter, because there's a lot of things that we go through at work that sometimes we're not great at communicating and being transparent at home. So it just opens up those lines of communication so that way you can have a stronger life at home. So so family night, we're going to feed everybody, get everybody together, and then we're going to do a car fire prop. Right. Okay. And that's how we're going to kind of end the formal side of the academy. And then tomorrow night, what do we have going on tomorrow night?
Tomorrow we got our graduation. Yep,
absolutely. So again, just another formal invitation to anybody in the public. I know this airs on Friday, but I did invite everybody last week. So if you didn't catch the podcast last week and you're catching it now Friday morning, you're too late. But I know our good friend Kathy is going to post a lot of things on social media from family night and also from the graduation. So if you do miss it, there's still plenty of content that you can check on social media. So Mark, tell us about yourself. Where you come from and why did you choose CAFMA?
Yeah. So originally from Southern California, but I've been living in Northern Arizona for the past 7 years, living in Presque Valley for the past 2. Me and my wife recently just bought a house here.
Congratulations. That's a big feat.
Thank you. Yeah. So why CAFMA? Why the fire department first is sort of where I'm in my life right now. I feel like I've made a lot of good decisions. I've been married for 5 years. I love my wife to death. We just bought our house. We have no kids yet, but we are planning on starting a family. So I really was like, I did construction, nothing wrong with construction, but like I just needed something a little more stable, something that can help me support my wife and hopefully kids in the future. So I decided to pursue the fire department. And I came across CAFMA when I did my Fire 1 and 2. A lot of the training personnel are from CAFMA, and I just saw how much they love their job, how much they love working for you guys. And I was like, man, this is something that I want to do. This is a place where I want to be that like is really family focused, because that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a couple things that you mentioned. So first of all, now you have formal education.
Yeah.
So tell us about college a little bit.
Yeah, so right after I graduated high school in California, I moved to Flagstaff and pursued photography at NEU. That was kind of a mistake in my life. I graduated and I finished and I had my degree, but photography is something that you kind of you got to start on your own. And like, it just came at a bad time for me. Like the pandemic started as soon as I graduated, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
Sure.
And I'm in debt, so I got to just do something with my life.
Well, so there's a couple things with formal education, though, even though that maybe obviously photography doesn't translate directly to the fire service. However, the time and dedication that you put forth in your education itself shows a lot about your character and your hard work. So, there's no such thing as regrets. And I know I've talked to you about this before, that I still think it's an incredible feat, though, to continue your formal education, get your degree, especially during the pandemic when things were not as easy to do so.
Right.
But then you transitioned into a completely different career change into construction. So that's a hard thing to do, to where you have to say, okay, I got a degree in this. I spent all this time and energy. However, this isn't fulfilling me. So you went to construction, but man, construction really translates to the fire service in the sense of, those are the structures that we're going into to put fire out.
Yeah. And I did learn a lot doing construction, and from construction, I was a little hesitant to go back to school to get my EMT and to do fire service, but my wife was like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to push it. And I'm so glad she pushed me.
Yeah, talk about a support system, right? So how cool is that? Well, very good. So yeah, great job in life. You built yourself up. You were obviously a man of integrity, and we picked that up on your OR board. And then you talked about your formal education in that process and how you transition. And so essentially you've had a couple different career changes. And we have a lot of members at CAFMA that have done the same, had career changes in the past. And we just find that those are just really, really great employees, because they know what it's like on the other side. They've seen, different, not the whole grass is greener on the other side, more so, grass is greener where you water it. But at the same time, you have to be happy with where you're at to want to put that type of time and energy into that grass. And so we see a lot of really good people come into our organization that have had those career changes. And so I think you're going to be just another one of those to add to the list. So that's great. Well, thank you for the time, and thanks for being a part of this academy. And I know you're a little bit nervous, but man, you handled it great.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if you want, go ahead and hop out, and I will bring in Nicholas.
Sweet.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, so Nick, not Nicholas.
Whatever you prefer, sir.
I'll do Nick.
All right.
Your shirt says Nicholas, and I think I've been calling you Nicholas just to kind of mess with you this whole time. But Nick,
okay.
you've earned Nick.
Thank you.
So Nick, tell us about yourself and why the fire service and why CAFMA.
Yeah, so my name is Nick Vargas. I grew up in Northern California, kind of bounced around states due to baseball and the fire service. Found my way to Arizona about a year ago, and then to CAFMA.
Very good. So where did you come from before you moved here?
I spent a year up in the Shola area, worked for Taylor Snowflake. Before that, I moved from Kodiak Island.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to get at, is that he's got a really cool history about him. So you obviously have history in the fire service, okay? And now we talked to Damien last week, and we talked about kind of how that translates from other organizations to here. Right. But let's talk about a little bit of your experience. So you were in Kodiak, Alaska.
Yes,
What's
sir.
the most dangerous thing that that is on your radar when you're living in Kodiak, Alaska?
Are you referring to the four-legged furry animal?
Yes.
That would be a Kodiak brown bear.
Yeah, Kodiak brown bears. So not only are you trying to, help and rescue people and fight fires, you're also trying to duck and dodge grizzly bears.
Especially while fishing.
Yeah.
It's very, very realistic out there.
Yeah. So is it that we don't have Kodiak bears here in Prescott that drew you to our area?
Family actually drew me to Arizona. But yeah, getting off the island was more so sort of a lifestyle change. We wanted to buy a house, kind of get into that sort of thing, build a family up. And being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on an island probably wasn't the best for us. So.
But you had family local. And so isn't that a coincidence that I bring up family on family night, and that's what brought you here. So how cool is that? Well, we're glad to have you. So a couple things. One is that I didn't mention this in the last podcast, but this actually is really relevant in the sense of running away from Kodiak bears, but you need to be in pretty good physical condition to be a firefighter, correct?
Yes.
And we've had to learn that here in the last 14 weeks, right?
Absolutely.
So one thing that you'll have to do if you're interested, and a lot of our viewers right now watching these podcasts are people interested in testing with us. And one thing I would offer is a little bit of advice that you will have to do what's called the CPAT test before you get hired. And so do you have any advice for anybody who's about to embark on testing with their CPAT?
For their CPAT?
Yeah.
I would definitely look into like circuit style workouts. If you're not currently working out, I think going to like the preface stage or whatever, I think there's like a practice one you can take.
There is a practice one, and if you pass that, you can actually dovetail that can actually be your CPAT test.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Lessons learned, yeah. So if you sign up for the practice one, that actually will count towards your CPAT if you pass it. It does cost. I don't remember the total cost of what the CPAT is. However, I know it's a pretty minor cost compared to other avenues of testing procedures, but you will have to have your CPAT. And if you follow us on social media, our good friend Kathy, again, is just ahead of the curve and always helping us out and holding our hand through this whole process, but she's provided a link to sign up for the CPAT. And I would just offer that you give yourself plenty of time, that you prepare for the CPAT, conclude the CPAT, and then use that momentum to get you into the academy, because it is important, is it not, to be in good physical condition probably prior to the academy.
Absolutely. We work out every morning, and a lot of those workouts are very rigorous. So.
Absolutely. So I would say arduous. And then there's some days where they're a little easier on you, but I think it's still, those would be like the grinder days where like, yeah, you've only got about a 2 to 3 minute workout, but it's the most lung burning workout you'll experience for 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes shorter.
Yep.
So awesome. So you got family local. You don't have to deal with Kodiak bears anymore.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. What's something that you're looking forward to the most when you get out of the academy, you graduate tomorrow night, next week, boom, you're on the engine. What's the one thing you're most looking forward to about being on the engine your first year?
Soaking up all the information I can. Obviously, moving from the academy to the engine, like that's going to be my job. Mm-hmm. So getting to know that and then advancing in that, right? Hazmat, paramedic, TRT, anything like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really excited about.
Absolutely. Well, and so you mentioned a couple things here. So, hazmat, TRT, medic school, all these things. That's one thing that CAFMA really does well, is that we afford you all these opportunities for growth, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. And that professional side of things, I mean, if you want to go to medic school, you've got a good opportunity here in the next year or two. And we've increased our wages for medics here over the last couple of years, where here in another couple of years, you're going to be able to make $15,000 a year just being a paramedic.
Wow.
And so that's a really big pay raise, especially somebody who, like Mark, who just bought a house, or somebody who's living in our area where we do have a higher cost of living. That is something that we have to be aware of. However, we combat that in other ways. But like the mantra that we use all the time is the rent's due every day, right? Like, we're not just going to hand you pay raises. You got to earn it. So
absolutely,
going to medic school, but you get stipends for TRT, hazmat. There's always opportunities for those schools. As a matter of fact, the first part of the calendar year, we're going to have a hazmat class starting in January. Then we're going to have a TRT class in the spring. We have promotional exams all through the spring of this next year. So there's always opportunities for professional growth. Right. And then one thing, just to dovetail on Mark, we talked about formal education, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any aspirations to get any college degrees?
I do. I have a bachelor's degree in English.
Okay. So how about, however long ago before you had your bachelor's degree, what if I told you that the department will pay 80% of your tuition?
It's a good deal.
Yeah, that's pretty good benefit, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the benefits that CAFMA also affords, is that if you want to get formal education, the department will pay up to 80% up to a certain credit hour amount of your degree. So there's a lot of good people that have benefited from that. And, we do have some degree requirements for certain promotions too. So we don't just give you a problem, we give you a solution to the problem as well. But absolutely, everybody's got to earn it, right?
Absolutely.
Very good. So let me ask you this before we close. What's one thing that you're going to do to make sure that you earn it every day?
Make sure I get after it in the gym whenever I can, and no excuses to not. And then open eyes, open ears, ready to learn all the time.
Awesome.
Always a good option and opportunity to learn every day. Very good. Nick, that's why we hired you, brother. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you, man. Go ahead and bounce out to your right. And then we're going to bring in, last but not least, we're going to bring in Luke to close this out.
Remember to stay on the microphone.
All right, so scoot right on up, get a little closer to the microphone there.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think that probably works, right? All right, what's up, buddy?
Doing good, Chief. Thanks. How are you?
Good. Are you ready to finish this academy and finish the podcast? And
I've been looking at the finish line for a long time, ready to cross it. Awesome.
Very good. All right. So Luke, walk us through a little bit of who you are, why be a firefighter, and why CAFMA.
Sure. I'm Luke Swanson. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I've been here in Prescott for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Why come in here and being a firefighter? Two big reasons. Okay. One, I read the Bible, and one of my favorite Bible verses is from the book of Luke. It says, Jesus Christ did not come to earth to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. I'm not Jesus, but I want to be like him, and I want to serve this community in that same kind of way. And then second, before I got hired by CAFMA, I was working for Priority Ambulance as an EMT, and I got the opportunity to be placed at one of the CAFMA stations, running the rescue with the CAFMA crews at Station 62. Being a part of that station life, I got to see the crew that I was on. They pushed each other. They looked for the best in each other. That's a culture and environment that I enjoyed being a part of then. I want to continue to be a part of and continue to grow in the ways that I saw those guys growing. So those are two big reasons why I want to be at CAFMA. A couple other things about me. My favorite human beings are my nieces and nephews.
Awesome.
Including
give them a shout out on the podcast.
Ivor, you're 2 years old now, but in a couple decades, I hope you interview for a job like this. But I love you guys.
How cool is that? Yeah, whatever we can do for marketing. Okay, so just recruit all the time. That's all good. Well, very good. So family's important to you, and obviously your faith is very important to you. So when you translate where you're at right now in your life and in the academy to the engine life here next week, what are some challenges you think you're going to come across, and how do you plan on kind of meeting those head on?
Yeah. I'll be honest, this academy experience has been humbling for me. Lots of hard work that I've had to put in. I've had to learn a lot of new things. I anticipate learning lots more new things as I get onto the engine. So I just found out what my station assignment is. I'm looking forward to learning from my captain and the other members of my crew, both in fire skills and also you were mentioning physical fitness, keeping the level of intensity that we've had in workouts in the academy, maintaining that through my first year and on through my career, so that I can do this job and not just do this job, but do it well, do it with excellence.
That's great. Absolutely. That's one of our core values is excellence. So as far as excellence goes, moving forward, are you going to stay connected with your peers in this academy? Because I feel like you guys all have a really good bond by now. And I feel like you guys have constantly pushed yourselves to meet that standard of excellence. Because that's the cool thing about CAFMA is that excellence isn't something that we achieve to be. That's where we try to maintain. And so how do you intend to do that with your other peers in the academy?
We've said since day one, Engine 1 has tons of fun. That's this engine here today.
And it rhymes all the time.
And it rhymes. That means it's true, right? I think. But so we've built very good relationships. It's a little bit saddening looking at the different shift allocations. I won't get to spend every day of the week with these fine folks and the other folks from the other engines. But as I continue to learn, you mentioned CAFMA has a high value on family, not just the families that are at home, but the families that we share stations with, the crews that we get to run with. So I look forward to running into my friends from the academy on calls and continue to bounce ideas off them as we navigate the first year of fire service together.
Awesome. Yeah. And any encouragement I could give you would be to lean on your peers, because you guys will all be experiencing the same kinds of things at the same, speed or the same tempo throughout the first year, but also look for other mentors, especially mentors from the last academy or the academy before that, because I know that they're really hoping that you would lean on to them. And at the same time, like they just went through this a year ago. So maybe not the same tempo that you guys are today, but a year ago, and they can kind of give you some good feedback. But any other encouragements that I could ever offer, the training division could ever offer, please lean on us by all means. And with us in closing, I just want to do a couple big shout outs to, first of all, Captain Travis Smith, who this is the first time in a long time we've pulled an engine engine captain off of the line to actually run the academies. And he is just, by leaps and bounds exceeded any expectations that any of us would have had. And he just did a fantastic job of leading your academy. So a big thank you to Travis Smith, a big thank you to our senior staff that didn't even bat an eyelash at that ask. That was a heavy ask by the training division. And then the board for supporting that as well. So we have a lot of dignitaries and constituents coming out tomorrow for you guys' academy. We'll be able to formally thank them there, but we'll be in our Class A's. We'll be all dressed up, spiffed up. Probably won't even recognize each other because we're not wearing our red soaked shirts. And here in just a few hours, you guys will be throwing those in the big old trash fire. So it'll be a nice feeling, right?
Can't wait.
Awesome. So before we close, I just want to offer up the applications are going to open next week, right, Kathy? The Tuesday?
January 2nd.
Yeah, so next Tuesday, we're opening apps, and then those close on February 8th. Jinx. So February 8th is when those close, and then we'll be starting the next academy coming up here really quickly in March. So if you're interested in testing, follow us on social media, like and subscribe to the podcast. Engine One, Luke, thank you guys for everything you've done in this academy, and I just can't wait to see you guys throughout the rest of your career. You guys are going to do great things, so looking forward to it. So thanks for watching the podcast, and we'll see you guys at the graduation tomorrow night.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, bud.